A lot of conversation happens about, immigration, especially with the delineation movement. They have some, black immigrants that would say, you guys, I don't know what happened to you guys. You guys are being, acting like them folks. Some of y'all are being divisive. What happened, with Black America. But, really, if you really want to think about it, you're trying to say more so it's one way, and it's not. Is actually more so on the other side when you talk about being divisive. And we're going to get into why we're using the term divisive. Now, this sister had kind of pointed out that, you have, black immigrants that don't want to acknowledge some of the things, and not just black immigrants, but we could say all immigrants that come to America, but we only going to kind of put some of our focus on the black ones for just obvious reasons. But let's go ahead and check that out.
Across this app, I keep seeing people ask Black Americans, what have immigrants ever done to you? So here's the truth, because we are not going to keep pretending immigrants are automatically innocent just because supremacy is the bigger villain. Yes, immigration has caused harm to the Black American community. Not every immigrant, not only immigrant, and not always with intent, but measurable harm has happened. Economically, many employers have chosen immigrant labor at lower wages instead of hiring Black workers at fair wages. That choice has reduced opportunities for Black workers in the job sectors where we have historically been concentrated. That is a harm. Politically, as immigrant populations grew, major parties shifted their promises, their attention, and resources toward new voting blocs. The Black agenda has been repeatedly deprioritized as politicians calculate numbers rather than loyalty. That is harm. Culturally, Black American creativity has been used globally as a resource, while Black Americans are erased as origin. At the same time, many immigrants adopt negative stereotypes about Black Americans when they arrive because they learn quickly that distancing from us provides social benefits in this system. That is a harm. Geographically, the pattern is the same across multiple cities. Long-standing Black neighborhoods lost their population share and cultural control as new communities with greater economic leverage moved in. Gentrification and repopulation, and both resulted in Black displacement. That is a harm. Socially, immigrants did not enter a neutral landscape. They entered a country with an existing racial order that rewards those who rise above Black Americans, whether conscious or not. Many participated in that reward structure. That is a harm. And the only reason this conversation is treated like a taboo is because Black Americans are allowed to blame supremacy, but not allowed to acknowledge lateral harm from anyone else. We are allowed to hurt. We are just not allowed to name who contributed to the harm unless the answer is people. That is not hate. That is not xenophobia. That is not jealousy. It is displacement layered on top of sacrifice. Black Americans built what we built under terror and brutality, and everyone else arrived and benefited from that foundation. And when we say protect our share, protect our identity, protect our cultural space, we are told we do not get to decide. That is a harm. No one is asking immigrants to leave this country. Well, some people are, but I'm not. Not all of us are. No one is asking immigrants to undo history or carry guilt for what they didn't personally do. What is being asked, and has always been asked, is simple. Acknowledge the part you play in continuing the harm, whether you meant to or not. This has always been about accountability and acknowledgement.
Well, to pick it back off of what this sister is saying and saying that what did they actually do? And we're only going to focus on the Black immigrants. When immigrants start coming more and more numbers who are, whether they from the Caribbean or whether they're from the African continent, a lot of Black Americans say, hey, man, that's our brothers. That's our sisters coming over. We happy they're here. And a lot of Black Americans are on Pan-Africanism. And when Black Americans went in the spirit of Pan-Africanism to these brothers and sisters, a lot of them rejected Black America. You know, everybody joke about the I'm not black, I'm Dominican thing, right? And I'm not black, I'm Nigerian. And they quickly distance themselves from Black America. And Black America like, what's wrong with them? Why are they doing that? And why they say they're not black? Well, what is that about? You know what I'm saying? And for years, a lot of Black Americans didn't understand the tribalism that's in these countries, how they'll go to war with their brother or sister next door for being a part of a different tribe, things that we didn't even think about or understand. In the midst of them separating themselves, they got with the folks, a lot of them, talking down on Black Americans on these jobs, snitching on Black Americans, try to get Black Americans fired, and bringing their people in from their community, right? How many times have Black Americans have seen that? And when the folks bring them in, they bring them in at lower wages. So if a job supposed to pay 20, they'll bring an immigrant in and pay them 8. So that's how economic harm happens to Black Americans, because these companies do not want to pay for labor. On top of that, some of them feel they're better than Black Americans, even though they left their homeland, had to come way over here and start all over again. But yet some of them feel that they're actually better than Black Americans. They have the nerve to open their mouth and say they're more successful than Black Americans, even though on paper it's not enough of you to equal to what Black Americans can do in the area of finance, buying power. It's not enough. It's only a couple of million of them versus 43 million Black Americans. Ain't no way you're doing better. Ain't no way. And what do you find is doing better? Getting a job, that's doing better. Buying a house, buying a car, that's doing better. Bro, that's normal things to us here. That's not doing better. Saying, I got a business. You know how many Black Americans got businesses? I'm a Black American. I got them. So you're not, what are you doing that's so special that Black Americans have not done? What, you became a doctor? There's plenty of Black American doctors. You became a lawyer? There's plenty of Black American lawyers. What have you done that we have not done? I mean, it's not like you started any kind of institutions like a HBCU. You know, what hospitals are you setting up or have tried to set up? I mean, it's like, how are you so much better? And even if you were, quote unquote, better, right? You were better. For the simple fact that you got to say that you're better means that you're not. Because usually people that's better, they don't talk about it. And the fact is, you should never separate yourself. Now you look at what's going on now, and now you're in the crosshairs of Trump. And because you're in the crosshairs of Trump, now you need some of that good Pan-Africanism. And what's happened because you chose to separate yourself. You chose to say, I'm going over here. I don't want to be dealing with you Black Americans. You know, all the white people told me this about Black Americans, all the TV shows, that BS excuse that I would never accept. Now that you need Black America to assist you with dealing with white supremacy, now you're on your own. And that is the biggest mistake that a lot of you have made. You thought that you could separate yourself from Black America, try to get a lot of us fired on jobs, snitching on us to the white man on the job, so you could bring your people in, calling us different names like Akata and Jareer and all these other names that we have been called, and did not think the day will come where you would need Black America. See, my grandmother always told me, be careful, because you never know you may need. And that's one of those moments. Right now, y'all need Black America. A whole lot of people need Black America right now. And Black America is saying, no, you got it. You're on your own. You're better. You're more successful. But go show them good white people how better you are. Go show ICE how successful you are. Go show them. Remember, we was a Beads and a Jareers and all that. We was all those names, right? So go to ICE how much better you are than us. And you did play a role because you was keeping up division. You know, it's interesting that when Black Americans delineate, that's divisive, but it wasn't divisive when you were trying to get a Black American fired from their job so you could bring your people in. That wasn't divisive. It wasn't divisive when you run around saying you're better. That wasn't divisive. You know what I'm saying? It's only divisive when we prioritize ourselves. That's divisive. No, that's people that want to exploit you. And I'm sorry, exploitation don't work. And I'm not saying it's all brothers and sisters who are immigrants. No, it's not all. It's not all. It's definitely not all. Of course, it's not all. But for the ones who did that, now I've had some say, hey, man, when my parents came over, they did that mess. You know, but I'm not on it. I grew up here. I mean, all I know is Black America. I don't even know that other country. I don't know Senegal. I don't know nothing about it. Yeah, I'm Senegalese because of my parents, but man, I'm more Black American than Senegalese. You know, and you got some first generation, Black immigrants that'll say that to you, right? They were born here. And a lot of them, they get it. They get what's going on. They get it. Some of them even disagree with their parents. Say, man, my parents on some BS. My parents ain't even in the trenches like that. They don't even know. I've talked to them. So that's not the people I'm even talking about. I'm talking about a lot of times them parents that came here, the ones that first just come here thinking, separate myself. I'm going to get a benefit from white society by doing that. But now you need Black America. And that's the role that they played. And they look at these African braiding shop videos. One of the main one that was arrested behind grabbing the woman's hair, there was a video come out of her audio saying how she don't even like Black Americans. We ain't do nothing to that woman. But yeah, you want to be doing Black Americans' hair and getting paid, though. We haven't done a thing to anybody. We ain't went to nobody's homeland and bombed them. We didn't try to corrupt their leaders. We didn't try to stage coups in their country. We haven't done any of that to anybody. And yet, it's kind of like, with like Denzel Training Day. You gonna do this to me? Like that's the attitude that a lot of us have because we didn't do you nothing. And I will stand on that all day long. We didn't do nobody anything. We opened our arms. We wanted to practice some Pan-Africanism, but y'all didn't. Maybe next time, the next immigrants that come in, you'll tell them, hey, man, don't come over here doing that. You better go talk to the FBAs. You better go break bread with them, make peace with them, and work with them because you start dividing from them. And when we have a problem, they're gonna be like, nah, you good. We don't, you know what I'm saying? Ain't no way I would immigrate to an African country and like, oh, I don't want to fool with the Africans. What kind of crap is that? Why would I move to an African country and I don't want to fool with the Africans of that country? That's like moving to South Africa and say, oh, I don't want to deal with the Black South Africans. I don't want to deal with them. Like, why not? Why would you move somewhere you don't want to deal with Black people? That's stupid. But that's the issue. And that's that accountability that this sister was talking about. That accountability. But let me know what y'all think about, this what this sister is saying. Because they gotta have some accountability. That's the only way anything can be fixed. You cannot fix any kind of relationship unless you're being accountable of what the issue is. Because all this pointing at us, y'all being divisive, y'all being xenophobic, that means you still on what you're on. You do not want to acknowledge what y'all have done in this country. Siding with the folks. That's what we talking about. But until you're ready to acknowledge that and say, hey, man, let's fix it, you're going to still have an issue.